Welcome to Thriving Entrepreneur with your host, Steve Kidd, third-generation minister and 30-year business coach. Listen in as amazing, world-changing authors, speakers, and coaches share their struggles and victories. And hear from best-selling authors' insight into how you too can live your life as a thriving entrepreneur.
This is Steve. Welcome to Thriving Entrepreneur. Thanks for being with me here today. I so appreciate you. I'm so glad for every moment that we get to spend together here on the show talking about the things that really matter. And today, oh man, I just am so excited to dive in with these three guests and talk to you about perhaps the most important part of everything, and that's authentically being you. What is the authentic you? How does the authentic you show up today? Over the course of our lives, the longer you live, it may seem really different. Sometimes I look back at the course of my life and I'm like, how does the 18, 19, 20-year-old lead singer of a Christian rock band, how does that translate to a guy who now helps people write, publish, and market their books to bestseller? Now I could talk to you about nuances of having done sales going back into my childhood and owning a marketing company at that same time and stuff like that. But it was really always all about my heart, sharing the depth of my heart and soul, because I truly, really care about people. And I seem to connect with people just like you who are heart-centered, who really care about people and want to make a difference in the world. They consider thriving to be the best when they are helping somebody else have a breakthrough, see transformation, be all that they can be, if you will, to steal that old phrase. And that's no different from you to me to all of those of you that listen to the show. That's what you think of when you think of being a thriving entrepreneur. Leading with your heart, reaching out with your heart-centered nature, and making a difference in the world by just simply being your authentic you. Right here, right now, today. It may look or feel a million miles different 20 years from now, or even 5, than it does today. But it'll still be the real, genuine, authentic you, shining through all of it to make that difference that only you can make, to be the best version of you, and to live as a thriving entrepreneur. As I said, I have 3 amazing guests. We've got a packed show, so I'm going to jump right into with our first guest as a perfect example of what you were doing in life and what you are doing in life connect and are authentically you. But sometimes we don't see the connection, and then we see just how cool that connection is. Join me in welcoming Richard Lau. Hey, Richard, how you doing today?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what you've been through thus far in life.
Well, I've been an entrepreneur since my early 20s. Now I just turned 50. And so in that span of 30 years, I've done a lot. I was a workaholic for the first 10 years, working 7 days a week on, we started with beepers and then got into domain names. At 30 years old, right on the nose, I was diagnosed with colon cancer, told I had 3 months to live. I had a 3-month-old child. My wife and I and baby son had just moved to a new country. So that was a good punch in the face. But here I am today, thank God. And, it's just a miracle. And I've treated the last 20 years like a new lease on life. I've just been working away. Last few years, I've built up and sold resume.com, built that up to 3 million users and then sold that to indeed.com, did a conference that built that up in Las Vegas, and that's now part of the GoDaddy family, focusing on internet domain names. And now I'm focused on logo.com, which is an automated AI powered logo maker. And the theme that runs through the last few are all about domain names. And so logo.com is taking a keyword category killer domain name that's worth in the 7 figures and building a real business around it. And that worked for us with doing resume.com, and that's what we're doing again with logo.
I gotta know, how did you get logo.com?
Oh, I've been buying and selling domain names for the last 20 years. And so every so often you'll have a domain name that comes across your desk and and I'm like, I really want my fingers in this. And so sometimes you're able to bring in a partner. Sometimes you're able to just purchase it outright, or sometimes you get an option to purchase. With logo.com, it was a bit of a convoluted acquisition, but we basically managed to put together a partnership where we were able to purchase it, and we actually sat on it in inventory for a number of years before we actually had the time and the bandwidth to do what we knew what we wanted to do, but we waited until the timing was right.
We could just spend this whole time talking about domain names and all the domain names we've bought over the years, and the few of them that I'm sure you've never let this happen, but the domain names that we had that we let go.
Oh, absolutely. I've got some painful ones that I regret letting go. I think I have more pain over the ones that I've let go than the ones that I've sold. That have been the big winners. But at the end of the day, your successes outweigh your failures or misses, and that's how you get ahead in life. And so, I've had some domains that I sold for slightly more than I paid, and that now today, if I had kept them, they would literally be worth millions of dollars. And so there's tons of regret in that closet, but we'll just keep that door shut.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. My mind was going through a whole bunch of them too, and I was like, no, we won't go there. And then so every year, it comes up for the renewal, and then you're like, no, I'll just keep it another year.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
All right. So talk to us a little bit about what you're doing now in the world. So logo.com, what's the concept? What do people do there?
Yeah. So basically, we've been through this process ourselves so many different times of going through the process of designing and getting a logo onto a website or onto a product. And so with logo.com, we are taking that process, which can take upwards of between, say, 5 days on the short end to 3 weeks on the average end. So, let's call it 2 weeks. We're taking that process and all of the conversations that happen, which are very predictable conversations and very predictable actions that need to be taken. And we're trying to compress that down into 20 or 30 minutes so that from the time you start on the website and enter in your business name and optionally a slogan, to the time that you're checking out with a logo that's in a high resolution logo kit, with logo files that cover, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, so that you've got all of that package that it's in 20 minutes. And really what you're doing is you're landing on the website, you're entering in your business name, and we're in the background are doing a tremendous amount of work in terms of spinning up multi-threaded Amazon web servers to do all of the conversations so that you can then sit back and scroll through logo designs that have been created using our AI automated logo maker. And for you, it seems like we're just pulling them out of the drawer. But in the background, it's a tremendous number of servers that are crunching your business name and then presenting you with all of these different logo templates and or logo designs for you to look at. And then you're looking for that human factor of you'll know what you like when you see it. instead of having lots and lots of conversations going back and forth, we can compress that down by saying, look, we will present you with 100 different designs, scroll through, see which one you like, and then from there, then you click on it, then we'll show you some related designs in that style and color. And then you can click on the next one, and then you can refine it. You can change the color, the icon, the text, the font, and then you're now 3/4 of the way through. You just click through, and you can then choose which package do you want. And they're priced ridiculously low, relative to what you're getting at the end and the time saving. Like we're all about time savings, so that when you're at the process of your business idea of getting it online or getting your book out or whatever it is, that you aren't getting stuck for 2 or 3 weeks on that one line item of logo design. Let's put that down to a 20-minute process. Let's get you moving. Let's keep you moving so that when you've got that idea on a Friday, that you can have something together on the Monday, instead of like, oh, I started on the Friday, but then I got stuck on logo design. And then, 2-3 weeks later, time kills all deals. You lost the momentum. You lost that passion of and that free time that you had on that one weekend. So with logo.com, you can go in, you can get your logo, you can get your package. And then with the package, what we're including is like business cards, letterhead, all of the social media image file sizes, so that when you go to Facebook and you're like, oh, now I need to convert the logo that I just got from, this agency, and I need to put it into a cover image, and what size is that? And then you spend 10 minutes on Google. It's like, no. Just go to your dashboard at logo.com, go to Facebook, download the cover image and upload it to Facebook. And so we're trying to package in 100 hours of time into our premium package, which is $99. And so if we could save you, the equivalent of 100 hours and charging you $99, at $1 an hour, who could say no? And so we're trying to make our value proposition so ridiculous that it's just a no-brainer.
So you have a $19.99, a $59.99, and a $9.99 package.
Yeah. So basically $20, $60, and $100, right?
Okay. And so what's the difference?
Oh, so the difference is at the $20 package, really you're getting your logo in a few high resolution file sizes, formats. So whether it's SVG or PNG. So if you just simply are building your WordPress website or your site on Wix or Weebly or Squarespace, and you just need to get a logo that's going to appear in the top left corner of your website, then that $20 package is for you. If you're also going to be doing like Instagram, Facebook, and then you're going to spend any time at all setting up those social media accounts, then the $60 package is for you. So for $40 more, you're going to save yourself 2 or 3 hours of time just in resizing your logo file size. And then the $99 package, that is if you're going to have some business cards designed or printed, or if you're wanting to have letterhead, if you so what we're if you're wanting to have access to the PDF that has different layers in it, and you're wanting to add additional text, and so you're wanting to have access to the font file, to the raw font file. So we try to cover all of the bases, from the solopreneur who simply wants to have their WordPress site up and running the next day, to the doctor, lawyer, real estate, churches. We've got a lot of those clients, and they tend to go to the $60 or $100 package.
Okay, perfect. And you do want to make sure it's logo.com, not logos.com, because logos.com is a exegetical study of the Bible website. Just
yeah, exactly. Logos is I believe it's a Greek word for brotherly love.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, logo.com is, design. So very different.
Just
No
want to make
confusion.
sure because, if you're going to get your logo done and it says, for your ministry, and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
That's cool. So, and you do get a domain name that goes with each of these packages.
Yeah, that's a new offer because I come from the domain name industry. I have so many connections, and so when someone is getting their logo, they're usually at the very early stages of their business, their online business life. And so we're like, what do people want? They need a domain name, they need a website. What can we do to save them time and save them money and get them online as fast as possible? Well, a few conversations in, I'm like, okay, well, let's give away a domain name with every single package. So even if you're getting that $20 package, you can get a .online or .tech or .store domain name for free. If you take the $60 package, then you can get a .com for free. And those are just ones I'm rattling off. The list is actually longer than that. But yeah, it's like, again, we just come back to wanting to deliver so much value that you're like, well, why would I say no to this? Right? It's such a steal. And so we're really trying to turn the industry on its head. We did that with resume.com. And we feel that we have the room and the space to do that with logo.com. And then, yeah, if someone wants a website, we offer, it's a monthly fee because the website has to be hosted. That's $14.99, but it includes a website builder. So it makes it so easy for you to build your website and have it up and running almost immediately.
So, what does a person need to be ready to start on the site?
All they need, and they don't even need that, is a business name. Because really, you're going in, and you can use our logo generator to help you envision what your business name or what your different business name options would look like in a logo. So if you haven't decided on the name of your coffee shop, hop on to logo.com and type in, Richard's Coffee, Rick's Coffee, Rick's Coffee House. You can try the different name variations of when you're brainstorming, and see what they look like. So really, you don't need anything other than the passion for your business idea. If you have an existing business and you want to freshen up your logo, then we're also a great solution. But what we find most of our users are a small business that has had either no logo or a very, very basic logo, and they or solopreneurs who are just starting afresh. And so, yeah, all you really need is a business name.
Perfect. And it looks like, because I just threw in a name because you said to, I'm a good student. I follow instructions well. And it looks like, you've got a whole screen full of, here's what you could get, and then go into customizing, and then you make the people pay at the end. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. You're going through, you're seeing all of the different designs, you're seeing what your product, or sorry, your logo would look like on product, whether that's a website, t-shirts, notebook, business card. You can see all of that without having to pay a cent. And it's only when you're ready to download a package do we say, okay, this is what the different options are. So we're trying to deliver a tremendous amount of benefit, and we know people and including designers use our site without paying, and they're just looking at the different designs, they're coming up with ideas, and that's fine too. It's like a store. Come in and browse around. We're a friendly community, we don't bite. Just come on in and check it out. It's not an agency type or freelancer type where we're asking you to pay up front and then trust us, we'll get you a logo design that you love. Then we turn that around, and it's like when you find and have tweaked your design to one that you love and are ready to download, um, only then do we want you to pay us. To us, money is a thank you. And if we're not delivering you something that you're wanting to thank us for, then it's too early in the transaction to ask you for money. So yeah, it's free to use until you're in love with what you're presented with.
It was really cool, Richard. I wish we would have had it in 1996, but of course, we didn't have the technology for that back then. Logo.com. Is there anything else that people should know in order to get started working with you?
If you have any need for multiple logos, if you are you've got a portfolio of different domain names or products, or we're also a very good solution for high volume logo creation. So if feel free to reach out to me. I've got a really easy email address. It's richard@logo.com, and you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm very active there, and very happy to create custom products for people as well. So if you don't like what you see, just give us a call, and I'm sure we can put a package together for you.
Well, I really love this website. I'll probably end up playing with it over and over again now. Thanks for a new toy.
Yeah.
Richard, I really do appreciate what you're doing in the world and for spending some time with us here on the show today.
Well, thanks for having me on. I'm very much a fan. Thank you.
Now, I got to tell you, I love this website. I have recommended logo.com to many, many people since the moment I first interviewed Richard. It is an amazing resource for you to create logos for yourself, to get some branding ideas. There are just so many cool things you can do with logos.com. It's so accessible, and a lot of times it will get your mind going even before you then start the process of interacting with them and getting that logo. You can really hone in both some keywords and some concepts and all kinds of things, as well as just colors and different things like that. I can't highly recommend logo.com anymore. It is just so amazing, and I really do hope you will check it out.
If you're an author who's on a mission, stand out with your brand out. Check this out, guys. Yep, everything's marketing, and marketing is everything. Your existing book can become a best-selling book, or even, hey, like mine, a #1 international best-selling book in 5 days. Listen, if your business isn't known by everybody, it's obscurity, and that's death, right? The same thing is true for your book. If you're not happy with the way your book is performing, you got that far and then it just fell off the face of the planet kind of feeling, go to yourbestsellertoday.com. Schedule a talk with Steve. It's risk-free, it's guaranteed, it's proven. We've done it thousands of times. What are you waiting for? Yes, yourbestsellertoday.com. This time next week, you could have a beautiful seal on your book and get the attention that you deserve. Reach the people that you came to serve. Come on now. What are you waiting for? Grab a pen. Here we go. All you got to do is book a call, yourbestsellertoday.com. Go to yourbestsellertoday.com. Book a talk with Steve. It's proven, it's guaranteed, it's gonna happen. All you have to do is say yes to your destiny.
Welcome back to Thriving Entrepreneur.
This is Steve. Welcome back. Thanks for listening to Thriving Entrepreneur today. We met in our first segment with a really amazing entrepreneur who has an amazing product that will help you out. And he's showing up authentically in that space now as the authentic him that he is. Next, we want to kind of go deep. We want to go internal and look at the inner game of ourselves and what we do to be authentically ourselves in the world and make that difference in the place that we are as the person that we are intended to be in this world. So with that thought in mind, let's bring on our next guest. Join me in welcoming Gabriel Cousens. Hey, Gabriel, how you doing today?
I'm actually pretty good. A little cold up here in Northern California, but pretty good.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you show up in the world.
Well, we're showing up as the author of this book, Into the Nothing. It's my 13th book that I've written. I'm also a holistic physician, and people call me often kind of a mystic. I do a lot of spiritual teaching, as well as helping people on the physical, emotional, and mental planes. So I have a broad range. And then I also do a lot of humanitarian work. I have programs in 42 different countries, and they're mostly around diabetes prevention and organic, veganic farming to feed the people. And a lot of our people in Africa, they're not starving because they actually have their own food sources now that our people have done by creating farming. So I'm working in a variety of theaters, so to speak, but this particular book is about waking up and enhancing the quality of your life on multiple levels. That's it has a paradox, because I point out all I ever learned from life is through meditation, playing American football, and sacred relationships. And those are, it's a message that all our life experiences, if we understand it the right way, actually helps us grow spiritually. So that includes business. A lot of people see business as somehow being separate than the rest of their life. And my point is, no, not at all. Your experience as a business person can be seen as a spiritual practice. And in the Middle East, it used to be that the business people were the ones who were making the international connections between countries. The merchants would talk, and it would be a whole social, spiritual connection. So it's a whole kind of worldview of everything can be seen as a spiritual, a way to spiritually grow, no matter what the interaction is. So business, family life, none of that is separate from the overall growth that we're given, opportunities for growth that we're given. And my book, Into the Nothing, makes the point. All our experiences, if we see it from a spiritual point of view, can be a way of growing spiritually. That's the kind of overall kind of gist of the book. And it's my spiritual autobiography. And in that way, it tracks my whole life as a medical doctor, as a holistic physician, as a person, what we call Native American sun dancers, a person doing humanitarian work in all these different countries. It's all the opportunity to grow spiritually. So it shows a bigger vision about what we can have as we live our life. That's the overview, and that's what I'm doing.
Perfect. So there's, I'm sure, just a ton of stuff in the book, but if you had to pick your favorite child today, so unfair, I know, but what is your favorite part of the book?
Well, there's really two parts, which is the whole concept of we're put on the planet to awaken spiritually and to grow spiritually. But one of the most important parts to me in the book, and I spend the most amount of time, is sacred relationships. Because I describe sacred relationships as an opportunity to grow spiritually. And I talk about marriage that way, and also sacred friendship, is that the interaction of the two people helps us be exposed to our family of origin issues and our personality issues. And we can use that interaction to grow spiritually in a relatively safe space. And so I spent a lot of time talking about creating the safe space, the importance of sacred relationship, but also sacred friendship, which isn't just in a marriage. It can be in a business relationship. as well. In other words, what makes it sacred is you see that your interaction, wherever that field is, business, home, or sports, or whatever, that interaction is an opportunity to grow spiritually. And yes, marriage, from my point of view, is a spiritual path. And also, sacred relationship in a business context is a spiritual path. So it's how we kind of approach our life that way. And I go into that in real depth because it's so relevant in today's world.
So you talk a lot about liberation. What would you say is maybe one of the biggest things that keeps people from allowing themselves to be freed?
Their connection, their attachment to their physical, emotional, and mental kind of states. To be free, you have to be, as I say, into the nothing, be willing to jump into the unknown and not be looking for safety and security, but to move into the unknown. So, and that creates the space for growing spiritually. And people are looking for safety and security often, and that doesn't allow them to break out of the matrix and grow spiritually.
So how do they do that? What's step one of breaking out of the matrix to be able to grow spiritually?
One of the most important things is reconnecting with your soul. And in today's world, there's a more significant disconnection. We're more focused on the material plane. And as we meditate and eat in a way that enhances our sensitivity, we're more able to reconnect with our soul and deepen that soul connection really to the divine. And again, in the business context, it makes a big difference to have a spiritual business. And there are people writing about these things, like Ayman Saaf, one of my students in a way, but now of course he's on his own. So that's the key, is living and seeing your life, however mundane you may think it is, seeing it as a spiritual path, seeing parenthood as a spiritual path, seeing your business as a spiritual path, seeing all your relationships as part of the spiritual path. It redefines your life, and you bring the sacred into all your actions. And that's really the first step. And then the second part of that is all our experiences, seeing them from a spiritual point of view as an opportunity to grow spiritually and more deeply connect with your soul. And that's the subtlety of Into the Nothing, is really having that worldview in all that we do.
And the book Into the Nothing by Gabriel Cousens, MD. I'm assuming it's on Amazon. Where is it available at?
It is available on Amazon. It's available everywhere, actually. It's in most of the bookstores. You can also go to drcousens.com and order it directly, or treeoflife.mn.co and order it directly. So there's different ways to get it, but definitely it's on Amazon. It's actually reached bestseller status on Amazon already.
That's awesome. And just to let people know, Cousens is spelled Cousens.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
So leave us with a word of encouragement. Give the listeners something that they can take away from listening.
The biggest thing is to understand this is all very simple. You don't have to be part of a religion or a mystical path. It's a worldview where you begin to see and practice your everyday life as a spiritual path. The world is as you see it, is as you believe it to be. So it's just that shift in your viewpoint changes your whole experience, both in business, family life, and everyday life. So just at one angle, all my experiences, if I interpret it from a spiritual point of view, can be a way to elevate myself spiritually. You don't have to live in an ashram in India for this to happen. It's your everyday life that matters. And in that sense, we say the world is the spiritual teacher. And that makes it really easy for people.
Into the Nothing, a spiritual autobiography by Gabriel Cousens, MD. Gabriel, I appreciate you spending so much time with us here on the show today.
Well, thank you. And thank you for your excellent questions. And may you be blessed, and may all the listeners be blessed that we can use this to transform our life. And so we're having more fun and joy in our life as we look at it this new way that I'm sharing.
What did that make you think of? What kind of internal thoughts and feelings came up in you? And what kind of things can you do to, up-level yourself, but more importantly than that, to authentically live as the best you that you can be? What kind of things can each of us do right here in the place that we are to be better, to be more than anything, just show up as you, just while it's called today? That's all that's really involved in that. It isn't some kind of special magical woo-woo thing that you have to invent something that's never been done before. It's more along the lines of doing the work, definitely, finding out the information, and then getting to know you well enough that you can show up authentically as who you are. Because when you do, you make such a difference in this world, and you live as a thriving entrepreneur. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we will be right back here on Thriving Entrepreneur. Don't go away.
If you're an author who's on a mission, stand out with your brand out. Check this out, guys. Yep, everything's marketing, and marketing is everything. Your existing book can become a best-selling book, or even, hey, like mine, a #1 international best-selling book in 5 days. Listen, if your business isn't known by everybody, it's obscurity, and that's death, right? The same thing is true for your book. If you're not happy with the way your book is performing, you got that far and then it just fell off the face of the planet kind of feeling, go to yourbestsellertoday.com. Schedule a talk with Steve. It's risk-free, it's guaranteed, it's proven. We've done it thousands of times. What are you waiting for? Yes, yourbestsellertoday.com. This time next week, you could have a beautiful seal on your book and get the attention that you deserve. Reach the people that you came to serve. Come on now. What are you waiting for? Grab a pen. Here we go. All you got to do is book a call, yourbestsellertoday.com. Go to yourbestsellertoday.com. Book a talk with Steve. It's proven, it's guaranteed, it's gonna happen. All you have to do is say yes to your destiny.
Welcome back to Thriving Entrepreneur.
This is Steve. Welcome back. Thanks for listening to Thriving Entrepreneur today as we talk about showing up in this world as the authentic you that you are, to be yourself, to live in this world as the amazingly wonderful person that you are. And we've had 2 really good segments talking both about showing up through the transitions that may happen in our business, showing up and learning and discovering the authentic us. And now we want to talk about how we present ourselves to the world. What are some of the techniques, tactics, talents that each of us has that allows us to show up and be authentically us in the world? Are you ready to learn more? Join me in welcoming Tracy Goodwin. Hey Tracy, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing really good, thanks. So tell us a little bit about you and how you show up in the world.
Well, I try to show up in the world serving others. That is my #1 goal. I am a voice coach, which is kind of a funny thing when you say that. People often are like a little confused as what a voice coach does, but I help people step into the biggest, most authentic, real version of themselves by how they use their voice. And so it's my goal to show up the same way.
That makes sense. So you're not a vocal trainer so much as you want to help people discover their voice. Am I catching that correctly?
Right. I do work with people on their voice, but it's a really different type of methodology that I've created over the years that I've done this. And I call it psychology of the voice. And what really ends up happening is a transformation that goes beyond the voice. It's not necessarily typical voice coaching. We do work on changing the things in the voice that aren't really serving people or limiting them or blocking them in some way. But for me, the biggest part of it is the inner freedom part. And the inner freedom comes from rewriting what I call the voice stories, which is the noise in our head that so many people have that's running constantly, that limits how we use our voice and how we show up and the version of us that we give people, that we let in to see.
That makes total sense. So with fear and trembling, I will ask you to evaluate my voice.
Oh my goodness. Well, I have to listen to you talk for a minute. It's funny. People will say to me all the time, are you listening to me? Are you analyzing me? Are you assessing me? And I have to kind of tap into that hearing. Most of my work is, well, everything is researched, and I've been doing this for over 30 years. And I come at this in many, many ways from the perspective of how the subconscious of the listener is perceiving you. So I kind of have to tap into that ear. So maybe you could talk to me for a minute and then I can tell you what I hear.
Oh, what shall I tell you about? Yeah, and I mean, it's probably not even fair to ask you to on the spot do what you do so well for people. I was curious how the process works, and if you could tell us a little bit about what we would expect.
Sure. Well, I think you're a thinker. Are you very smart and analytical?
I was accused of that just the other day, so I guess I'll go with it. Yes.
Well, that's one, and nothing is bad. I think people fear their voice, and a lot of people don't like their voice, and I just don't view it that way. I don't think of any voice as bad. There's voices, and are you maximizing your voice? So here's a perfect example, and this is exactly how it works. Somebody decides they want to work with me, and I just start listening to them, asking them questions, having a conversation, and I'm over here making notes of how certain sounds may potentially be perceived by the subconscious of the listener or by the listener. And is that maximizing the person? Are they being perceived in the right way? Are they revealing the best version of themselves? So I noticed right away that there was this slight, and the sounds I work in, they're tiny, they're granular. So there's this slight hesitation that made me go, oh, okay. I think he's really smart. He's a thinker. Is that a bad thing? No, not at all. But is that what you want? What do you want the listener to perceive? Can that hesitation be perceived as, it could be perceived as a million different things. Could it be perceived as not sure, doubting me, doubting himself? How is hesitation being processed? So that's literally how the process works. I work off of 3 pillars. And the first one is, what is the psychology of the voice story? What are the drivers in your head that sometimes you don't even know you have? And what did those drivers leave behind? And like I said, they're not bad. I mean, being a thinker isn't bad. And then we move to pillar 2. Are there voice masks or blocks in your voice that are keeping me from fully connecting with you? Maybe somebody uses a lot of words and they dump a whole lot of words and words and words and words. They're having the words do all the work for them. Well, is that actually pushing me away? And then pillar 3 is all about captivating the listener. Are you creating an emotional journey for me? Are you really revealing who you are and how you feel, which comes through in the form of vocal variety? And that is how we establish emotional connection, through the voice. So those are the 3 pillars that I work through. And I always start with, what are the stories? What are the stories and what did they leave behind? And is there a better version in there? Is there a different version in there?
I can totally understand where, some of your close friends and stuff probably would be like, are you critiquing me right now? What did I do? How about now? What about now?
Well, and sometimes at the Christmas party, I feel like a party game. What do you hear? What do you hear in my voice? It's kind of fun.
Does it have an off switch? Like, can you choose to ignore it, or does it just kind of hit you constantly and you've just gotten used to it?
Well, for years, I knew I heard things and I wouldn't even acknowledge. I didn't teach this way because I thought, well, this is weird. How can I hear all these layers of people's voices? And then at some point in the journey, I was coaching a group of people and there was a lot of anger in the room. And I got really sick after that. And I'm a coach that always has a bunch of coaches. And one of my coaches said, we've got to work on you disconnecting from that. Otherwise, you're always taking in the layers and layers and layers of everything that is in everybody's voices. So it would be kind of like an empath. An empath picks up the feelings. Well, I can hear things that, I have to be able to turn it off. And it's really funny. The longer that I've done this work, the more I value silence. And I think it's because I'm constantly so tuned in to listening. So when I go out in the world, or if I'm, over at my sister's house, or even if I'm focused on a conversation like right now, it's turned off.
I can totally understand that. As an extremely strong empath, I know what it's like to have to learn how to, I don't know, for lack of a better term, learn how to block yourself from receiving, if that makes any sense.
Yes, because you would just take it all in. And I mean, I know you get it, and it can be overwhelming. I mean, I literally believe that I got sick from taking on all that anger.
Yeah, I totally believe that. I mean, I've actually been through those moments where it's like, what am I feeling? Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This isn't my feeling.
Yeah, right. And it's, I was just saying to somebody this morning, I was working with an empath, and I said, it's such an incredible gift, but you have to learn, being an empath or like I am, like I can hear voices the way that I do, but we have to get to the place where we can make it work for us instead of against us. Do you feel that way as an empath?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I integrated it into what I do for helping people shape their story, and it's become a major part of what I do in the world. But
yeah,
it was a transition, to say the least.
Well, I find that one of the concepts that I teach about around voice is about perception versus reception. What do I perceive you're receiving versus what you're really receiving? And I think that plays into that being an empath as well, discerning, okay, what am I feeling and what are you feeling? And do I want to take that on? And that's kind of how I approach sound in a way. It's not that it's a bad sound that anybody's putting out, but is it ultimately how you want the other person to receive you? Another example, and I'll go back to somebody using a lot of words. They use a whole lot of words because they feel like they need all these words to get their point across. But what we don't realize is the receiver doesn't know what we know. So did we just fire hose that person with too many words and now they don't even know what to do with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, in a perfect world, of course, a person would work with you, but for the person who is listening right now, um, I mean, I think it's even probably a tough leap for them because everybody kind of hears their own voice and critiques it. So, what is step one? How does a person learn, just from what we've been talking about here, to be able to more impactfully use their voice?
Such a great question. And one of the, I feel like I do things different than the world tells us how to do it. And I hear so many times people will listen to their replay or watch their replay back on video, and they're so critical of what they hear. And so the first thing that I think is really important is to fully understand that our subconscious number one goal here is to protect our heart. The voice is the orchestra of the heart, and it's the utmost place of judgment. So everything that you're hearing, that's not what we're hearing. It goes back to that perception reception. Your subconscious is going to go, just go off. Oh my gosh, you sound horrible, and you're so nasal, and you're so this, and you're so that. That's not necessarily true. So first and foremost, don't buy in to the noise in your head. In fact, that is step one in the work. Get out of the past, get out of the future, get into the now. Because you really don't have any voice power except in the now. So if you're hearing all this, oh, you're terrible, and remember that time you did that present, if you're doing all of that, you're not in the now. You're in the past or you're in the future. And so one of the first steps is get in the now. Start listening to that noise, though, and see what it says. Is it saying things like, nobody wants to hear what you have to say? Well, that's your voice story. And you ask the question to that noise, is that ultimately true? Is that ultimately true? Well, no, it's not ultimately true, because of course there's people that want to hear you. So that first step is getting in the now and paying attention to what that noise is. What is it saying? And discerning, is it true or not? But after that, you kind of know what you do. Are you loud? Are you quiet? Do you speak fast? Things like that, people generally know. Now, a lot of times they know it because people have told them that. And I'm not even a super fan of, okay, somebody told you you were fast, so that's the law now. But intuitively, what is it that you think you do that maybe isn't working for you? You can certainly take into account, do people say you're fast? Does everybody say you're fast? But what I find with people that show up here and they talk about speaking fast, they just know they speak fast, or they know they speak too loud, or they know they're not all that interesting or they feel like they're not that interesting because everything is monotone, or people are maybe they don't feel like they're articulating their words because people repeatedly say, what did you say? What did you say? So I think that's part of that's where we start. And I always start on the inside first. We can make you louder, or we can make you faster. We can roll in all the 5 elements of vocal variety. But as long as you have that noise in your head, it's not going to stick, because the noise in your head is your voice story that started before you were 5 years old. And that voice story is calling the shots. So those are some of the things that people can start with.
So, for the person who would like to go deeper with you on this, how does a person engage with you? How do they get to work with you?
Well, they can absolutely just reach out. The best place to find me is over on my website, captivatetheroom.com. And you can find me on social media as well at captivatetheroom.com. You can email me, Tracy at captivatetheroom.com. But to me, every voice is individual and every voice story is individual. So people just reach out and we have a conversation.
Perfect. Well, Tracy, I really appreciate you spending some time with us here on the show today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
You know, as a vocalist and now a professional speaker, voice training and learning how to use the instrument that is our voice to express our hearts, to be authentically who we are, to show up powerfully in the world. Ooh, that's just so exciting for me. And it doesn't matter what you think about your voice. I used to always tell my voice training students, the Bible says, if we don't praise him, the rocks will cry out. And I think that at your worst day, when you feel like you sound the worst, you're probably better than a clanking together rock. So rather than find another reason why we pick on ourselves, if we were to simply listen to our voice and understand that it's there to use words to try to convey what's in our heart, and when we let our heart shine out, we let the authentic us reign through the words that we're using to show up in the world and to make a difference to the people that we come in contact, to those that we were meant to serve. Oh, there is nothing better than just being the authentic you. That voice that you have, whether you feel like your voice is worse than the nanny named Fran, or you have the voice of an angel, or anywhere else on the spectrum, your voice is uniquely you, just like you are uniquely brilliant, that you were created for a purpose, and the world needs you. Your voice, your authentic you, is what the world craves. It's what people need from you. We've got other people in this world. There's been a powerful, dramatic Tony Robbins, Oprah Winfrey, Dr. Phil, Dr. Oz. The list goes on of people famous and infamous. People that have written books like Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich. People who have delivered sermons like Billy Graham. But what the world needs now is you. To just simply show up, to be you, be the best you that you can be, right here, right now, while it's called today. Whether there are airplanes and helicopters from Camp Pendleton flying overhead while you're telling people how amazing they are, or you're in a silent room all by yourself without a whisper. You are incredible. You are brilliant. You are meant for a purpose. And that purpose is for you to live as a thriving entrepreneur. Until next time, have a great week.
Thanks for listening to Thriving Entrepreneur today. If you want to get your question answered, send an email to questions@wehelpyouthrive.com. We look forward to you joining us again next time.
If you're an author who's on a mission, stand out with your brand out. Check this out, guys. Yep, everything's marketing, and marketing is everything. Your existing book can become a best-selling book, or even, hey, like mine, a #1 international best-selling book in 5 days. Listen, if your business isn't known by everybody, it's obscurity, and that's death, right? The same thing is true for your book. If you're not happy with the way your book is performing, you got that far and then it just fell off the face of the planet kind of feeling, go to yourbestsellertoday.com, schedule a talk with Steve, Steve. It's risk-free, it's guaranteed, it's proven. We've done it thousands of times. What are you waiting for? Yes, yourbestsellertoday.com. This time next week, you could have a beautiful seal on your book and get the attention that you deserve. Reach the people that you came to serve. Come on now. What are you waiting for? Grab a pen. Here we go. All you got to do is book a call. yourbestsellertoday.com. Go to yourbestsellertoday.com. Book a talk with Steve. It's proven. It's guaranteed. It's going to happen. All you have to do is say yes to your destiny.